This is Jamie from The Absence, and this is my dream tour, Dead or Alive. I'm gonna mix it up and not keep it all metal bands because I don't only listen to metal exclusively. So we'll start off with, I would like the classic lineup of Carcass with Ken Owen, Bill Steer, Mike Amott, Jeff Walker. That would be awesome. I'd like to see that, let alone tour with that. Huge fan, and keeping with the British momentum, huge fan of the Smiths with Morrissey and Johnny Marr and them. That'll never happen, but that would be cool, just to mix it up as far as Broken Up or Dead or Alive. I can remember listening to Carcass for the first time. I got this earache sampler at this punk rock record store that was by my house called Sound Idea. They didn't really sell metal in there too much, but there was an earache sampler in the free box by the front door. And, you know, and it was the 90s, had all the usual suspects like Entombed and Cathedral and Napalm Death and all that stuff. And Carcass was on there, and it was the song Heartwork, the title track from the album that was out at the time. And it blew me away. It's equal parts disgusting and beautiful with the whole melodic thing, but all the blast beats and how heavy it was, and you know, the dual guitar attack and the all scream vocals. It just really appealed to me, and and having come from like the hardcore and punk rock scene, and that point I was transitioning into like full blown being a metalhead. It appealed to me because you'd find pictures of them wearing like Discharge shirts and stuff like that. So I knew they were coming from a certain perspective. But yeah, I can remember hearing that and being like, that's exactly the kind of music that I would like to play, which makes sense because of what The Absence sounds like. The Smiths, that was one of those bands, after having specifically only listened to like heavy, fast bands with like all scream vocals or hip hop. Like hip hop was the first thing that I got into as a sentient human, and then punk rock came immediately after, hardcore, metal, death metal, blah blah blah. But that was in high school, and like had to, like started hanging out with like new friends that weren't just skateboarders that listened to Black Flag and stuff like that. I got introduced to a lot of different types of music, like indie rock and stuff like that, and post-hardcore. But the Smiths, that was one of those bands, with like bands like Joy Division and New Order and Depeche Mode and all that, that like resonated with me just because Morrissey is just such his lyrics, he's just a over-the-top front man, you know, and still is to this day. But he, it just, at the time, it was very appealing, and it resonated with me because some of his lyrical content is not what you'd expect from that kind of band. He was very unapologetic with what he would sing about or the lyrics he would choose to use, and I respect that as a lyricist myself. And I also have an immense amount of appreciation for somebody being upfront and being open in their lyrics, or open and ambiguous, which is, I don't know if that's a proper duality or not, but I don't really care. Just sometimes it was just as remedial as it needed to be, you know. Sweetness, I was only joking when I said you should be bludgeoned in your bed. It's like, you could have been a little more metaphorical, but you kind of got it right out there initially. You got it right out. So I appreciate that kind of stuff. And then the more, you know, it's always very poetic. So it was mostly the lyricism and that attracted me, but musically that band is phenomenal, all the way down. Johnny Marr, such a crazy guitar player, and Andy Rourke and Mick Joyce handling the rhythm section, very locked in and very, very tight. The band has a lot of dynamics, so I appreciated that. But that would definitely be on the list. Another band, you know, we'll mix it up again. Something that's always influenced me. We'll go with. There's so many. There's so many things that have influenced me. Converge, to be honest with you. Like I said, having come from the hardcore punk scene, that was a band that I got into when I was in that transitional phase where I was listening to equal parts hardcore and equal parts metal. That obviously they call them what you want, a hardcore band, a punk band, a metallic hardcore band, a metal band. They traverse and intertwine all of those genres, which is amazing. And they just keep getting better and better as a band and pushing boundaries. And I really like how they handle themselves as an entity, as a business. And again, being unapologetic with how they present themselves. And they handle everything as in-house between the art, design, the recording, you know, so it's pretty cool to look at a band like that and see them flourish, you know, having been a band for what 30 years at this point, almost, if not more, or just almost at that point. They're a band that's made the journey with me the whole time, from being a young teenager to adulthood. Now that I can still get excited about when they put out a record and buy it as soon as humanly possible. Just, again, dynamics. It's a band that understands that, and they just know how to write a good song, you know. And with Jacob Bandon's lyrics, he was always a huge influence on me as far as being poetic and being metaphorical and reading lyrics and not necessarily knowing what he was talking about, but despite that, obtaining your own interpretation, even if it was just, these are cool lyrics, or I really like his use of words there, or, you know, the cadence, you know, his voice is freaking insane, you know, and the delivery is awesome. So it's something that always attracted me. So that would definitely be on the list as well.